Man, I don't know about you, but this weekend left me with that strange, uneasy feeling that NASCAR sometimes throws at you. It feels like something much bigger is happening behind the curtain. On the surface, it seemed like just another typical race weekend at Bristol, full of chaos, mistakes, and the usual short track madness. But when you start looking a little deeper, things don't feel that straightforward at all. We've got two major stories coming out of this race, and trust me, both of them hit in completely different ways. One of them might actually change how you view penalties and inspections for the rest of this season, and the other brings a whole new level of tension that could shake things up going forward in a big way. And if you're a real NASCAR fan, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. When stuff like this starts stacking up week after week, it usually means something bigger is brewing under the surface. So before we jump right into it, if you're into NASCAR like I am, watching every single weekend, following every storyline closely, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe right now. This channel is brand new. We're trying hard to reach 15,000 subs, and it's all about real fans talking real NASCAR talk. Alright, let's get into the first story. So let's break down what actually went down at Bristol Motor Speedway. Because even though it looked pretty clean on paper, there was a whole lot happening behind the scenes that most people might have missed. First off, let's talk about the big names that got immediate attention right after the race ended: Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. Both of their cars were sent straight to NASCAR's R&D Center in Concord, North Carolina. If you've been watching NASCAR for a while, you already know how this works. Sometimes it's just routine, but other times it raises serious questions among fans. It usually means NASCAR either spotted something, suspected something, or simply wants a much deeper look at teams that are performing at a really high level. And both of those guys have been extremely fast lately. So naturally, fans started wondering if something fishy was going on. But here, the key part that matters most. After completely tearing both cars down to the last piece, NASCAR found absolutely nothing wrong. Both cars were fully cleared, no penalties issued, no violations found, completely good to go heading into Kansas. So from a technical standpoint, everything checked out perfectly clean. But that was only one part of the whole story, because even before the race even started, things were already messy and complicated. Pre-race inspection has been a real headache all season long, and Bristol was no different at all. 5 teams got penalized: Kyle Larson, Michael McDowell, Ross Chastain, Cole Custer, and Chad Fincham. Most of them lost their car chiefs in pit selection, which at a place like Bristol is a massive deal. Track position there means absolutely everything. The only exception was McDowell, who lost his engineer instead. So before the green flag even dropped, some teams were already in trouble. Then during the race itself, even more issues popped up. Pit road penalties kept stacking up one after another. Drivers who were caught speeding on pit road included Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Tyler Reddick, and Brad Keselowski. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a safety violation. Michael McDowell got penalized for too many crew members going over the wall on lap 255. Zane Smith was hit with a penalty for equipment interference on lap 131. So this race was far from clean when you really break it all down carefully. And over in the Truck Series, we had another moment that got people talking a lot. Christian X made contact with Corey Heim late in the race. If you remember their history from that intense 2024 Truck Series championship fight, you know there's already bad blood and tension between them. X clipped Heim going into turn 1 and sent him hard into the wall. Fans immediately jumped in and started debating heavily whether it was intentional or not. NASCAR talked to X afterward, but in the end no penalty was given. So officially there were no major punishments handed out after Bristol. But when you look at everything together, all the inspections, penalties, and on-track incidents, it definitely felt like NASCAR was watching a lot of teams very, very closely this time. And that smoothly brings us to the second big story. Because one of those penalties completely changed the outcome for one driver in particular, Tyler Reddick. After the race, he did not hold back at all. He said that speeding penalty on pit road completely ruined their entire race, and if you know Bristol well, you understand exactly why he felt that way. He explained that at a place like Bristol, one single mistake puts you in a hole that you simply cannot recover from easily. Before the penalty, he had a fast car and was running right up near the front. After serving that penalty, he dropped way deep in the field, lost valuable track position, and got stuck in heavy, tough traffic. And once you're stuck back there at Bristol, it becomes almost impossible to recover. You lose your rhythm and fall completely out of contention. But he didn't stop there with his comments. Reddick also opened up about NASCAR itself. He pointed out that with 4 wins in the last 7 races, it feels like his team, 23XI Racing, is being watched much more closely than other teams. He said their car keeps getting pulled for deeper inspections week after week. He made it clear that he understands NASCAR is doing its job, but at the same time it's starting to feel excessive and tiring. He even suggested that when a team starts winning this much, things change in how they're treated, and sometimes it feels like NASCAR is trying to balance things out on purpose. That is a very strong statement coming from him. After Bristol, his car was once again sent to the R&D center, and once again no issues were found at all. So officially everything is completely legal. But from a driver's perspective, you can totally understand the frustration he's feeling. When you're winning races, building strong momentum, and then dealing with penalties plus constant inspections, it can start to affect everything mentally and on the track. And now, this adds a whole new layer to the situation right now. He is quickly becoming one of the biggest storylines in NASCAR, both on and off the track. As a fan, this is exactly the kind of tension that makes a season so exciting to follow. Now there are real questions being asked. Is this just normal procedure, or are certain teams getting extra attention? Either way, heading into the next race, all eyes are going to be locked on that 23 Xi Racing team. Bristol may not have handed out any major penalties after the race, but it definitely gave us something much bigger to watch moving forward. And that is exactly what makes this sport so good and addictive. If you're following all of this closely, I really want to hear your honest opinion in the comments. Do you think NASCAR is just doing its job properly, or does it feel like some teams are being watched more closely than others? Honestly, my take as a fan is this. NASCAR is doing its job, but at the same time it is impossible to ignore the pattern that's forming. When a driver like Tyler Reddick starts winning at that high level, 4 wins in the last 7 races, you are naturally going to get more attention from officials. That is completely normal. Every dominant car in NASCAR history has gone through that phase where officials take a much closer look. But here, where it gets really interesting. Even with all that extra attention, all the additional inspections, and even sending the car multiple times to the R&D center, they are still coming up completely clean every single time. So from a rule standpoint, 23XI Racing is doing everything right. Now on the penalty side, especially that speeding penalty at Bristol, I do not think NASCAR did anything wrong there either. Pit road speeding is black and white. You either go over the limit or you do not. And at a track like Bristol, that kind of mistake is absolutely brutal. But I do understand Reddick's frustration completely. Because when you combine a race-ruining penalty with constant inspections, it starts to feel like everything is stacking against you, even if technically it is all fair and by the book. And that is what makes this situation so real and so interesting. Because both things can be true at the same time. NASCAR can be enforcing the rules correctly, and the driver can still feel like the pressure is getting heavier week after week. As for the first story with all the penalties and inspections at Bristol Motor Speedway, to me, it shows something bigger is happening. NASCAR is being extra strict this season. Pre-race inspection issues, pit road penalties, constant monitoring, it feels like the margin for error is smaller than ever before. So overall, my honest opinion is this. Nothing illegal is happening, but the intensity from NASCAR right now is definitely higher, and drivers are starting to feel it more and more. And if Reddick keeps performing like this tension is only going to grow as we get closer to the playoffs. That is where things could really get interesting. Leave your comment below, hit the like button if you enjoyed this, and if you're a real NASCAR fan who likes honest opinions, subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. The channel is new. We are pushing toward 15,000 subscribers, and this is the place for real fans talking about what is really happening in NASCAR. And honestly, after everything we just saw, it feels like we are only at the beginning of something bigger. Bristol gave us a race that looked normal on the surface, but behind it we saw inspections, multiple penalties, and drivers clearly feeling the pressure. At the same time, one of the hottest drivers in the sport is starting to question how things are being handled, even after being cleared with no issues found. So now the big question is not just about what happened at Bristol, it is about what comes next. Because if this tension keeps building, if the inspections keep happening, and if drivers keep speaking out, we could be heading into a really intense stretch of the season.